Hey guys, thought I'd just let you know how progress on the Marconi 55.9 is coming along. I must be honest and say I haven't done really much to it in the last week and a half, but I still thought I'd show you the dial now. The dial is now much easier to read. If I can get my camera to focus, there we go. And shows all the stations now. Remember, we can only get as far as this middle area here. Now here's the rest. I'll just scan along and let you see them. I'm not going to read them all out. But it shows you what great condition this dial is going to be in. I've gave it a quick dust over and everything's staying on it. It's a funny material. It's almost a type of see-through plastic, which these have been printed on, which gives that glow. But it looks really good condition. I'm only having trouble reading these red text around here, but what I found cool is there's one here that reads aircraft, a station which will no longer work, but a great little bit of history. Also, whilst I'm here, you'll remember I showed you this through the dial, but it wasn't very clear. It actually has a gramophone option. I forgot to show that. And you just simply flip through as you change band. It tells you what one you're on. But it just works by this chain belt here. And as the top's turned, it would obviously, wrong way, change on the switch. I just thought it was a really neat option. We've got our fine tune and our coarse tune, our volume and our tone control, and it has all its original knobs also. Another great thing that comes with this set. You often find that at least one of them's been removed or someone's done something with it, but this set seems to be in original condition. I've also removed some of the valves. I wanted to show these because, well, it's not every day that we get to see valves original to a set, and these are all Marconi branded, which is really exciting also. And most of them are testing really good. They're really clean, good condition valves. These logos were actually painted on, and it was often found that with heat they became old, brittle, and then eventually flaked off. They're, however, in really good condition. The only valve that we're needing to replace is the Marconi tuning eye. You can see that it does look slightly burnt out, and it is. I've tested it. However, I'm not too upset about it because after removing it, I see it has a Marconi emblem on it, which proves that it's probably original to the set. And in my experience, these Y663s usually only have a burning life of about 1,000 hours. So it's burnt out without a doubt, just simply due to being used so much. This is the rectifier out the set, which is a UU6. And as I was reading the schematic, I found it was usually a U10 or a U12. However, this UU6 is a sensible equivalent to that and tests good, so I'm not too worried about it. It's just a great looking valve. These older sets have valves like these. It's so unusual to find a 4-pin valve in sets that we work on from the 40s and the 50s. And it's just another reason I'm into these sets. It's the first 30 set I've ever bought, and probably there won't be very many after it because they take up so much room. Another thing I want to show you is I began to clean the chassis just with a wet rag, and what I found is that it's actually going to clean up unbelievably well. What you see there is this chassis's original plating. I have done nothing more than simply clean it with a wet cloth. Now I don't blame you if you don't believe me at first, because most people wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. But if I put it just here and show you me begin to clean this corner option of the set, you'll see that dirt and grime is simply removing from the actual chassis. Yes, you do have to put a little bit of work behind it. And there's going to be a couple of areas where the corrosion's set into the chassis, which I'll probably need to treat a little. But just with me going over that short, small area of the chassis, you can see that we're coming right back to its original plating. And the original plating in this set is in probably the finest condition I've ever came across. And it's going to clean up unbelievably well. These small blotches don't bother me, it's originality. And plus nobody sees it anyway. They aren't actually rust, it just seems that the plating is lifted at these areas and might need a little bit of extra help. But you can see it's just cleaning off on the rag. It's not even that dirty, which is quite unbelievable. We just have to put a little bit of work into this chassis and then it will clean up with original plating, which really is amazing considering its age. This radio is 76 years old and has clearly been kept in a very dry area. I was told that it had been kept indoors its entire life, but I wasn't too sure if I believed the seller. But as I clean, all this grime simply coming off even this tuner shaft here, and it's just beginning to clean up very well. It's almost as if I've just covered the set in navel jelly. So there you have it. All of this is just dusty, and all the original paint is still there also. And the dial itself is going to clean up something unbelievable also. So that's for the top of the chassis currently. We haven't done any electrical work, I just want to get it all clean. And you can see, if I spend the time, this is going to clean up unbelievably well. I also love the little copper bushings, the little copper rivets you see there. That's such an unusual thing to see. I mean, obviously on these older radios it isn't so unusual, but it shows quality in my opinion. So that's what we're currently working with. I removed the dial lamp. You can see that bayonet fitting actually appears to be factory. There is no modifications, it all seems vintage. Whether it was later, I can't completely pin down because there's so little of these sets to go by. However, I do believe it's original because it says it used a bayonet bulb on the schematic, so I'll definitely let you know if I find out any more about it. And here's the underside of the chassis, in original and fairly good condition. All the wax capacitors are in place where they should be. All appear original, and well, I'm very pleased. I've had a good look around underneath. I've checked some resistors. The set has quite a few dog bone resistors, which are my favourite, and they all seem to be checking out really good, so at least I get to keep those. I'm going to start under here once I get the top half done. However, I've had a good look around and all appears original except one thing. I began to look underneath the chassis only a short while back, and I found that this can actually isn't original to the chassis. This can was installed probably in the late 30s, 40s, so not long after this radio was sold. It may even be a factory repair. And within it, it has two 8 microfarad capacitors rated at 550 volts. Now this can was installed because two electrolytics in the can above the chassis obviously failed, or simply weren't installed. This may be a factory repair, and I can't rule that out until I look further into it. So, I'm still contemplating leaving this in place and restuffing it, because it's not a hard thing to restuff, because things like these are just so original to the set, really. It shows that the set was worked on in the past, just many years ago, and it's a neat little thing. I've never seen one like this. So you guys can let me know what you think, if I should keep this or not. Obviously it's not original, but it's part of the set's history, and if I can keep as much of that, I'm going to do it. Also looking around, all the cloth wires are in really good condition, and there really shouldn't be any issues. What I might do, I found rather strangely that a lot of the capacitors don't have any insulation on these bare wires. Obviously when I come to replace them, I'll do all that. There's one of the dog bones there. Transformer wires are all good. Transformer checks out good. I've just finished doing that. All tests good. Even the coils seem to be testing good. It's just all really exciting, isn't it? So this set shouldn't have too many issues. Obviously it's been sitting a long time, but it hasn't had any abuse. No one's been in here before me and messed around with things, because I've looked at all the diagrams and everything's in the right place. So I'm going to end up cutting this video here. Hope you've enjoyed this first part of the current state of the radio. I hope to get a couple of these done, because obviously I'm not doing a full restoration on it, or not a full restoration series anyway. So until we get a little further into this process, thanks for watching, and be sure to look out for another part.